All right. Hi, Kathy. Say hello, everybody. All right. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the MK Quilts financial webinar. We are going to have a guest speaker, Carrie Radloff, which we will introduce shortly, and then she can let her tell you about her. I do want to say a couple things about this, and Melissa might jump in a little bit. She's a lot smoother in front of the camera than me. I'm the guy in the back that takes care of things. But I wanted to make sure this is not just, hey, it's a sales thing trying to get you to buy machines. There is a lot of information that Carrie can share so that we can learn how we can benefit by things as a small business, and where why it might be more advantageous to finance one way or the other. Um, I think Melissa can share a little bit about how we got started as a small business and used red threads as well. Anyone who's seen one of my documents on a guide to purchasing a machine, page 13 has always been, there is no free money, okay? So there are these credit card-based financing places where it's a higher risk. If you don't screw up, you won't get hit with big penalties and big fees and things. But in a lot of cases, the prices you get when you're financing have hidden fees, because I'll tell you, we as retailers in certain financing situations get charged 12, 14% back to us to give you 0% financing. So we've always dealt with, this is the cost of the machine, and then we'll work financing. If you have to use one financing or the other, we'll do it. But we roll those fees back in, so it's all transparent. It's really not good sales sometimes, I'll admit it. It's great to find out you can be driving a BMW for $199 a month, but that asterisk does mean there's something else going on there. So that was really my thought of why we should have this webinar. So Melissa, before we introduce Carrie, why don't you mention a little bit about how we use financing with our business?
Yeah, so in the beginning when I was brand new, I didn't know anything, and I do believe we bought my first machine on a credit card, or I mean, I don't know, it was so long ago. But as my business progressed and as I was upgrading to bigger and better machines, and uh really recognizing that I did have a business, we did look at financing. And we were just talking before we hopped on that I do believe when I got my Infinity, which she is 5 years old now, we did some split financing and we did use Red Thread. And they were very easy to work with, very easy application process. And I believe it was a set number of payments at that time. I'm sure Carrie will explain what what happens now and how it goes and what the terms are and all of that. But it was very easy, and it allowed me to get the machine that I wanted, because I did apply for some other things, and I wasn't able to get like the whole entire thing through one avenue. So it did allow me to get the machine that I wanted. I wanted that Infinity badly. And so yeah, that's basically our story. And I think I'll just let Paul introduce Carrie, and she can give more information about how Red Threads works for you all.
Okay, so Carrie, I'm only going to say a few things. One, Melissa and I are from Minnesota. Carrie's up in Minnesota, so you've got good Midwest people behind all this stuff. Carrie has far too many letters after her name. She's got all the MBA stuff and all the fancy stuff. I'll let her explain that. But Carrie is the handy quilter person, so she deals with these on a regular basis, and she can answer all your questions. So Carrie, why don't you take it away from here? I will mute myself, and you can share your screen when you need to.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie. Very nice to be here tonight. And feel free, I think Paul's got a chat session open. So if you have questions that come up, either send those to Paul and he can bring those up at the end, or I think he said you can unmute yourself as well if you have questions. But I'm just going to walk through, I guess what Red Thread does and some of the finance programs that we have available. And, if you have questions, I want to help you answer those today. So that's the main goal here. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. and hopefully that'll come up here. And basically, just to tell you a little bit about Red Thread. Let's see, how do I get this back to share again now, Paul? It stopped, but while I'm trying to figure this out, I will tell you a little bit about Red Thread. So like Paul said, we have been financing to the long arm market now for over 10 years. So we've worked with Handy Quilter for a long time. And we have learned an awful lot about long arm quilting. So one thing, if you've ever tried to finance a machine, is that if you go to a bank or go to finance a machine, a lot of times people don't know what the heck you're talking about when you talk about a long arm quilting machine. You know, they're not willing to finance that type of asset and such. And that's one of the benefits to us, is that, you know, we really feel like we understand. There we go. We understand the markets and can talk the lingo with you and understand the questions to ask and such. So, Gal, and I still can't get this to come up. You know what? I think I'm going to actually get out and come back on and see if that will do it, because it worked when I was originally on here. So maybe if I do that, it'll
Don't
come
worry,
back up.
I can edit the video here too, so it'll look perfect when we do it.
Yeah. That's all right. Yeah, I don't know how to restart it again after it stops like that. So one thing that if anybody's online too right now on their desktop, our website is redthreadfinancial.com. And if you click on that, we have a lot of information that is out there too that you might enjoy reading through as you are learning a little bit about financing. So one of the things that we have out there is a resources section. And through that, you can get information on the quilting program. You can get information on Section 179, which is basically
we can see your screen now. There you go.
Can you see my screen? No, this is, I think Melissa's sharing this.
Oh, Melissa's sharing it. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're muted.
I pulled it up.
Yeah. So yeah, this is our website. This is the resources section. And so what this is it goes through kind of the steps of applying. You'll see there's an application out there. There's information on Section 179, which is basically a way that businesses can write off financing any type of new equipment. So it doesn't matter what type of financing that you use, whether you pay cash or whether you finance it or lease it, you can write off any equipment you purchase for your business in the year you purchase it under the Section 179. So what this flyer shows that Melissa has pulled up is that you can put in the cost of the equipment that you are looking to add, and it will figure out for you what the potential tax savings is for your business if you buy it in that year, and then what your net equipment investment is. And the only thing you need to keep in mind is that you can only write off up to what you make in income for your business for the year. A couple other resources we have in there is just some of the benefits to financing, our program benefits. This is a great little flyer that we did this many years ago, where it figures out approximately how many quilts you would have to quilt in a week or a month to pay for your machine payment. So this is figuring how much you would make depending on what you charge for long arming. So at that time we had figured anywhere from 1.5 cents a square inch up to 2.5 cents a square inch. We figured it based off of a queen size quilt of 90 by 100. And then you can figure out if you want to get that machine that's say priced at $30,000, about how many quilts you'd have to do in a monthly basis in order for that to pay for itself. So we have in my presentation, and hopefully I can get that back up here for you, but when I get that back up, that will show basically, here we go. I think I just figured it out. There we go. Good.
Yay.
So that will go in the presentation, an example with handy quilter machines and what the pricing would look like and how many quilts you'd have to do, you know, depending on what you're charging, to get the pricing that you need. So to pay for the machine. So great. So basically I'm going to just walk through some of the guidelines, the process, and things like that with regards to our finance. And if there's anything, again, that you want me to go through at the end, please let me know. So one thing with the Red Thread program is it is for commercial and business only. So we don't necessarily require all of our customers to have businesses filed. So our main requirement is that you plan to use your machine for income generation. And it is common if you're getting a new long arm that you want to get good with it before you open yourself up to business, and that's fine. So we have multiple programs. We do have programs that do require something to be filed for a business, and we have programs that don't. So one of the unique things that we'll do with all of our customers is we will call everyone who applies with us. We'll talk through a few questions with you to really understand your needs for the equipment, what your business needs are, and then we'll find a program that works for you based on what you are looking to do as far as business filings go. So quilting for others is the biggest one we run into. Some of our customers will rent their machines out, you know, if they have a brick and mortar building. We have customers that create pattern sales using their long arms, and that works as well. So anything really with income generation. And then we offer both financing and leasing options. And there's some differences on why we would use different products. Most of what we do in quilting is a finance product. But even if we structure your contract with a lease option, you will always own that equipment at the end. So we don't have leasing options like a car would, where you have to return it at the end or pay a big residual buyout on it. Any of our leases even are structured similar to a finance contract. So here's some of the terms of our programs. So our programs have a fixed interest rate, even if you have a late payment. Paul had kind of started to talk a little bit about the 0% programs that are out there with the credit card companies. And we certainly see those from some of the companies that offer them. One of the drawbacks to those can be that if you miss a payment on one of those 0% programs, that your interest rate typically goes up. The one that I've seen goes up to 29.99%, and it's effective day one, meaning it's retroactive. So even if you have 2 payments left on your contract, they will charge you that percentage rate based off the original balance of the credit card. So it's just things to keep in mind. You know, even if something happens and you have a late payment with us, your terms don't change, your payments don't change. It's a fixed rate for you. Like I mentioned, even on a lease, you're going to own the equipment at the end of the contract. Our terms are typically 12 to 60 months. 60 months is the maximum term we can offer on a long arm machine. There could be exceptions if anyone was ordering multiples where we were getting into the $100,000 range. In that case, we can go longer terms, but typically 60 months is our maximum. And we have a lot of flexible programs right now too. Right now, in fact, we're offering a nice promotion where we have 90-day deferred programs, meaning that instead of your payments starting 30 days after you receive your machine, you have 90 days before your payments are due. So it gives you a little extra time just to get the machine producing income to help pay for it. We have a 6x99 program right now, which just means for the first 6 months, your payments are only $99, kind of for the same use. And then we have a lot of programs as well that require zero down, meaning you can get into it with very little upfront money, which is nice. A lot of times when we're working to finance a customer, they may be looking at multiple options. They may be looking at us. They may be looking at a credit card. They may be looking at their local bank. And one of the benefits to our program over a local bank is you're typically going to have a larger down payment there. So if there are people that don't want to pay that large down payment, we're a nice option. And then we have a minimum finance amount of $5,000, and we have no maximum, so we can do multiple machines pretty easily. So to get started with the program, one of the benefits to Red Thread is that we understand quilting. And we understand what you're looking to do. We know what a long arm is. We know what throat space is. We understand all of that. And so our experience in the business often means that we're going to ask for less information than what your bank may ask for. So most banks, if you're starting a business, they're going to make you write out a business plan, and you're going to need to provide tax returns and bank statements and financial statements and things like that. Whereas with us, we just ask for a one-page application. And then that's why we call you once we receive the application. We do a quick phone interview with you. We find out, how long have you been quilting? What are your plans with the quilting machine? Where are you doing drop off and pick up at? And just find out more about what you're looking to use the machine for, because that helps us find the best program for you too. And some of our programs, like I mentioned, will require you to file something for a business, and others don't. So we try to keep programs available for kind of every type of quilter out there that's looking to get a long arm. So as far as our process, again, the minimum finance amount's $5,000. The most relevant terms that we finance over are 3, 4, and 5 years. One of the things that's unique about commercial financing over consumer financing is that in the commercial world, your lowest interest rate, if you'd want to plug back to that, will be your longest term. And that's completely opposite with consumer financing. So that's one of the questions we get a lot. And we do have programs that allow for early buyouts. And so a lot of times our customers will take those longer terms and then just pay extra or buy it out early if they're able to, because that just gives them the best option to save the most in interest, I guess. In some cases, we do require insurance on the machines. That's something to think about as well if you're starting a business. Whereas, if you're going to have people coming to your home or your business location to pick up, drop off quilts, you may want to talk with your insurance agent about possibly getting liability insurance. There's a lot of things to think about there. And insuring the machine is another thing. We've only had a handful of people over 10 years that have lost machines, but we've had people lose machines with lightning strikes is a big one. And if you don't have that machine insured, that's a difficult situation to be in. So, we want you to be secured as well. We actually have an insurance option here where we help people insure their machines. We can do it short-term or long-term for as long as you would need to insure it. And that's more so, some people are not able to cover their machines under their homeowner's insurance for whatever reason. And they don't want to pay the expense of a business insurance policy on their machine. So we do have an option here, whenever it's the best fit for a customer.
Carrie, can we stop and ask a question?
Yeah.
So I know at the very beginning, your first slide said that this was for business financing only. So for the person who has no intention of doing this as a business, Red Thread is not an option?
That's correct. So we're only licensed to finance commercially. Consumer financing is a whole different set of rules and regulations. So unfortunately, we are not able to do any consumer lending.
Okay.
Great. So I'm going to talk through some of the benefits of the Red Thread program, maybe over some other options that you might consider when you're looking at your Longarm. So one of our benefits is that we're application only. We only require that one-page application. We're a quick approval. We typically have a decision back to our customers within a few hours to 1 business day. We have minimal upfront costs. So, anywhere from 0 down to 2 payments, 1 payment is going to be standard for us. Here's a big one too, is that we can do 100% financing. Now, what that means is if you decide that you need to upgrade your machine with some accessories, you want to wrap in shipping, installation, sales tax, all those soft costs can be, that are on the invoice, can be rolled into our financing. So that's, I know, a benefit over the credit card programs available as well. Typically with those credit card programs, you're only able to finance the actual cost of the Longarm, so that any of the other additional items would have to be paid out of pocket by you. And typically that's what a bank will do as well. Most banks will not finance some of that, some of those soft cost items into your contract. We have programs that have early buyout options, like I mentioned, if you want to pay off early and save interest and such. Again, our program has fixed payments and interest rates, so it's not going to be revolving. Some people that may have a line of credit filed with their bank, that's one thing we're seeing a lot more of those customers finance equipment right now, because everyone kind of assumes that rates are going to be going up in the near future, and they don't want to get any type of equipment onto a revolving line like that, as rates are likely going to be increasing.
So before you move off of this slide, Carrie, I just wanted to mention this is really good information, especially for the accessory shipping, that type of thing. I know I saw some people on the call that were owners with us already, people who have reached out to us about becoming owners. And one of the big questions is, what else do I need to get outside of what comes with the machine? And we have, it's kind of a list that I've put together over time of these are really the things that you should consider adding on. And those accessories can add up, as an owner with MK Quilts, you do get a discount, but though they do add up. So it's nice to know that you can roll that in, even the sales tax and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I covered this in a future slide, but I'll just mention it now as well. We have a lot of customers that will finance their Longarm or purchase a Longarm. And then, a year or 2 down the road, they're like, we really need a computer on this Longarm. And so we do a lot of computer upgrades too, where, we're just financing the computer part of it, the Pro Stitcher. So
good.
And then one of the other notes is that our program, we only take a lien on the machine that we're financing. So a lot of times, if you go to your bank, I know some people will look at financing through a home equity line because the rate's so good. But then one thing you need to keep in mind is that your house is now on the line for that Longarm. So if anything would happen, you could risk, losing your house over that. So, and some people may be, okay with that, but that's something to keep in mind. We don't require a house. We don't require your car. And if you have an actual business setup, most banks will take a blanket lien on all your business assets if you finance your machine with them. So those are just some things to keep in mind. And one thing I ran into is that a lot of business owners have no idea that the bank has a blanket lien on all their assets. I don't know, I don't think bankers explain that. I think they just do it, because I've talked to numerous people that said, nope, my bank doesn't have a blanket lien, and come to find out, yep, they do. So that's just something to keep in mind, that all your business assets are really at risk there. One of the big benefits, and what we hear a lot, and I'll share our Facebook page, I think, here at the end, but If you go to our Facebook page, Red Thread Financial, you'll see we just kind of started that a few months ago, was getting feedback from customers. But you'll see one of the biggest thing that people say they like working with us is our service levels. We always answer the phone. The staff that works here are knowledgeable in the quilting markets. And we truly want to help people get into their long arm. The best is when we have a customer who says, "You made my dream come true. I've wanted this for 25 years." That's the best story, and we love helping people with that. So that's one of the big benefits to Red Thread is, you have a staff that's really going to take care of you and help you through the process. Here's the comment about add-on financing, where we can add on your computer system to your Longarm if you'd like to upgrade that way. We will finance floor model machines and used equipment as long as it's coming from a dealer, like MK Quilts. And our program is free to dealers. So what that means is that at the beginning, Paul was talking a little bit about the 0% credit card programs and how those work, because we all know that if nobody gives money for free, or they wouldn't be in business. So how those companies do that is, like Paul mentioned, the dealers are paying a fee to them to offer that program. One of the benefits to us is that we don't charge any of our dealers a fee. Now, we will charge you an interest rate on your financing, but we don't charge a fee to the dealers. So sometimes you can get better pricing, or at least not an increased price on your equipment in that situation.
Yeah, so let me just say something here, if I could. You walk into a car dealership and they're asking, are you paying cash or are you financing? Because they can actually make money off financing in those dealerships. We don't. At MK Quilts, we have one template form for pricing. You don't get a different price if you're going this direction or going that direction. And that's just how we try and operate, which is why we like just the clean, straightforward. You find a plan that works best for you through Red Threads versus us trying to direct you to the plan that makes us the most money. And that really does happen a great deal out there, even in our market, when I talk to people about how they bought their machine. So be aware of that.
Perfect. And then the last benefit, and we had pulled this up on the website early on during the call through our website, is the Section 179 flyer, where you configure some of the possible write-offs to your business if you're adding equipment. And then the quilt production calculator as well, that we had pulled up through our website, which shows you how many quilts you would need to quilt in a month to pay for your machine payment. A lot of times, when people see that monthly payment, they might get a little scared. And then if you do that math and say, can you do 4 quilts a month? Can you do 1 quilt a week? And they're like, well, yeah, I do 2 a week. So they don't think about that. But once you put that into perspective, it really helps people feel confident that they can make that goal and that payment. So, and then there is our website again, the redthreadfinancial.com. And again, under the resources section is where you can find some of that additional information. And here's the section that we completed that talks through some of the handy quilter machines, what the retail price is on those, what a sample 60-month payment would be on that, and then the number of quilts a month you would have to quilt to pay for the payment. And again, this is assuming a queen size quilt. We used a 2 cents per square inch labor charge. And again, this is going to be subject to credit approval, but is the standard program that we offer. So you'll see there, the Infinity 3 quilts a month. To add the Pro Stitcher, 1 additional quilt a month. So that really kind of helps put things into perspective as to what size and type of machine you're confident affording and able to make that many quilts in a month. So
let me make a comment about the costs here in the column. Handy Quilter doesn't want people putting anything but retail costs out there. So those are retail costs. Those are not the costs that you'd pay. I asked her to put in our Forte floor model there right now, where I think I have somebody who's about to jump on this right now. But that's a one of our barely used Fortes with a super discount, you know, that's $20,000. So you're getting new frame and a Forte for 20,000, and that's $425 a month type environment. So that machine is probably the one we sell the most of for people getting in a small business, because it's got the most throat depth. You can be more efficient. It really is the sweet spot. I mean, Melissa loves her Infinity, but we sell a lot of Fortes, whereas the Amara is usually when people are a little bit more constrained on space. So don't get turned off by the high prices in the cost column, because we're just doing what we're told. So just letting you know.
Well, and I will just also jump in and say that all of this talk about the payment, when Paul basically told me to buy the expletive thing, he said, Melissa, if you can just make enough money quilting for others to make the payment, you can get this. You know, I don't expect you to make money right off. You have to learn the machine, like Carrie mentioned. I joined a guild. I was perfecting my skills. My guild buddies were my first clients. They helped me out. I gave them a little discount, you know, but really it was not difficult in the beginning, even as a newbie, to start doing that couple of quilts here and there for people. And I think now with the resources, if I can, you know, talk up Paul and I a little bit, we pride ourselves on helping you get from 0 to 60 in short order, so that you really can do this professionally, feel confident with it in a much shorter span than somebody who just sells you the machine and says, have a good time with that. And then you're out there looking and trying to find training and what's best for you. We really want you to be successful. And even for me personally here in Florida, I have a lot of quilters in my area. And I try not to feel threatened by that. I want everybody to be successful. I feel like there's business to be had. Some people just do paper pantos here. Some people only do free motion. Some people do pro stitcher like me. But I really, I wouldn't mind selling to somebody, just close-ish to me, even if I knew that they wanted to make a small business of this, because I want them to be successful. And I'm plenty busy, and my training is obviously taking a lot of my time. So just think about that. It's really doable. It really is.
Okay, and one more thing when you're talking to your spouse, because I did the taxes that first year, okay? Being a small business may sound scary to some, but when I do the taxes and I can depreciate the machine against what it cost me to build out her studio, to add things in, to do the maintenance, and also to counteract any money she's made so that our taxes don't go up, there are benefits that really make it cost beneficial, so that, there's a lot of money, but I know the spouses are like, is this really a good idea? Be a small business, make a little money off of doing other people's quilts, and you can really neutralize the cost of your passion. And that's something that Melissa did real well up front. And I think that's what got me on board with what she was doing real early. So, all right, Carrie, we've babbled on a lot. Take it away.
No worries. So I have another aspect of that story is I can tell you multiple couples where the wife got a machine and 6 to 9 months later, the husband came back and said, I need a machine. I want my own machine. Especially the computerized machines. It seems like, if your husband has like engineering background or any of that stuff, they really get interested in that. And yeah, we've had a lot of people come back and get one for both spouses. So perfect. Okay, so that is the last page of my slideshow. Here's my contact information. One of the things, if you have any questions and you want to talk with me outside of this, reach out to me anytime. We're more than willing to talk through things with you and help you, navigate you to see if our option's a good option for you.
Okay, so we have one question up here, and we'll open it up so that you can just speak up and ask your questions. The first question was from Aditi Chen, who is a long-term loyal customer from, I think she just moved back from Kenya with her husband due to this whole COVID thing. And her machine, if I may share, is going to show up next January. Okay, so her question here, sorry, I just noticed it was private, DG, but it's a good one here. Are the courses helping us to do small business? And yes, that is clearly, we started our own little community discussion. MK Quilts is going through reworking their website now. And, how do you get just a basic website so that if somebody within, a 3-hour drive of you, if they type quilting, how does your website pop up? And do it for free, that type of stuff, techie stuff. We hope to help everybody to be able to do that real simply, real cost effectively, because there are a lot of shysters out there. So yes, that is a big part of what MK Quilts wants to do, because I'd say almost half of the people, probably more than half, that buy from us and buy the computerized long arming are doing it for a small business, supplemental income, or whatever as well. So thank you,
and
Dee.
Paul, I will attest to that too. I will say, we've been doing this a really long time, and we've worked with hundreds of dealers across the nation. And the biggest thing that I tell people when they're looking at who to buy from is, make sure you have a dealer that's going to support you. Because when you run into those issues, and most people do, you want to be able to call someone and have them help you through that issue. And, some of the biggest issues we've had on our end are because dealers sell to you at a cutthroat price to try to get your sale, and you never hear from them again. And it doesn't matter if the machine works or not. So having a dealer like you guys who just really, you guys go above and beyond in supporting your customers. Having a dealer like that is worth a lot. For a finance company, especially, because we know that machine is going to be taken care of, and that customer is going to be taken care of.
Amen.
Definitely. And we do take calls internationally. Sometimes it's fun to find out who we're talking to and where they're at. So
I also wanted to add, there was a question, and I'm not sure if that person stayed on, because the question was about personal finance. If you're not intending it to be a business, sometimes you might not intend it to be a business, and then all of a sudden, a friend or two, and you're just kind of doing it a little, by request only or what have you, and pretty soon you're like, well, I could do a couple or 3 a month that was on Carrie's slide, and that's really not, and I'm not being a proponent of doing anything under the table, or, please stay above board when you're dealing with the IRS and all of that. We're not here to make any claims or recommendations about that, but it may be something that just kind of naturally happens. And that can be a very good thing. And what I have told people, if you really don't want to be that busy, then you need to be very specific about what you will take and how many you will take, and be very honest and upfront about your turnaround times, about what their expectations are of you and what you're willing to provide. If you're only willing to do 3 in a month, then stick to that. And it can just kind of evolve on you, and you don't have to let it stress you out. You don't have to be MK who lives, breathes, and sleeps quilting. Okay.
That brings up a great point. We do have an awful lot of customers who long arm part-time. They may have a full-time job, and they do, like you said, a couple quilts a month at nights or weekends. And that still works for our program. We have a number of people who get their machines, 3 to 5 years before retirement. They want to start building up slowly their customer base, pay their machine off when they're still working, and then do that in retirement. So, we're open to the part-time quilting as well.
Okay, so we have a question here. Thank you, Carrie. We do a lot of charity quilting. Is that somehow deductible on taxes if you do set up a business? Now, first disclaimer, we are not tax people, okay? But I do know on some of our calls, we've even had some of our users that are past accountants and things. I believe if you're set up as a small business and you are donating thread, stitches, and your time, ask your tax person. But if you're having other expenses like paying on your machine, I believe there's a way to cost that as an expense to you. But I'm not 100%. Is anyone online that has a little accounting experience with charity expenses?
I don't think you can write off your time.
Okay.
I don't think that you can do that part of it, but if you donate product or you donate money or something that you can account for that's not your time, I think you can do that. But that would be something to check on.
I did some of that just a few weeks ago. I really didn't have time to make a lot of these masks. I think it was a phenomenal thing that the guilds and private sewing groups have been doing, but I just did not have the time to do that. So I made a donation to one of my guilds. Both of the guilds that I belong to are 501c3 organizations. So really all I would have to do is have them invoice me or make some paperwork to show that, yes, I donated, yes, they received. And, I'm sure that we could make that happen for us personally. Not that I was thinking about that. I just wanted them to make the masks. But, every little bit helps when you're trying to really do it professionally and the right way. And when you are thinking about taxes, you want to do whatever is legal and acceptable and allowable to your benefit.
All right, another question has come in. Can Red Threads do refinance if your program is less costly?
Yeah, we haven't really entertained that much just because we haven't been asked that question. I think we would consider that. It would be important to find out how you have the machine financed now, just to make sure that it's a type of program where you could save interest if we refinanced it and such. So yeah, whoever that is, reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk through that with you a little bit further. One of the other things we have come up, I guess, is sometimes we have customers that maybe will get approved through a 0% credit card, whether that's tied through the dealer or not, and want to split fund it. And we do that as long as the split fund is through like a credit card or a type of program where they won't take the equipment as collateral. So as long as we have the equipment as collateral, we will look at doing that, splitting with a credit card, or some people just like to pay a large amount down, and that's perfectly fine.
All right. I am not seeing any other questions here. I know I made some of my notes on things I heard that were enlightening to me. So I think that's going to help me when I'm dealing with other people. The whole lien on the machine and what's happening with the banks and other stuff. I had written down to mention that we do provide a little PDF with 17 ways to finance. But you brought up an issue, obviously a home equity loan, but that puts that money as a burden on your house and your payments there. And, I've talked about, you can sometimes get a used car loan on a car you own and use that money. So there are other things we suggested, but I thought, Carrie, your comment about knowing, where you're incurring the risk, and also the difference between financing and leasing, with a 650 and above type credit score and not too much debt, you can usually get a pretty good financing deal you know, through the services is what I've been told, Carrie, here. All I have to say is ask, you know, talk to Carrie, because one, she's not going to lead you down the road into doing something that's going to cause you problems. And Melissa and I are not pressure salespeople ever. If buying a machine is going to put you in hardship, we don't want you to. And we actually had 2 machines where they had signed on the dot that they were going to buy machines from us. We sent it in to Handy Quilter, and then they had to back out the next week. We have no hardship. We know we'll take them back when they're ready for this. But this was really just a chance for people to understand, you know, what it means to run as a small business, some of the benefits. And I know there are a lot of used machine sales going on right now, and people are upgrading during this time. And so it might be something for you to look into. So with that, Melissa,
Hey,
do you have anything else?
Can I comment one other thing about you bringing up used machine sales? So we get this question a lot too. Can I buy a used machine from a private party seller? Red Thread typically takes the stance that we will not finance a machine that's being sold by a private party seller. There's 2 things you need to be concerned about that. Number one, obviously just the quality of the machine. You're not knowing if it's working or not having a dealer to stand behind it if you have issues. A second one that people do not think about is the fact that if the customer you're buying it from had that machine financed or have any blanket liens against their business or personal assets for any reason, it could even be a different business they own, that machine could be locked up and liened against to a bank. And if anything would happen to that customer, say they end up going out of business and filing bankruptcy or whatever, the bank could legally come back and take that machine back from you. So that's the biggest risks we face is you can do searches on liens on equipment and such, but it doesn't always catch everything. And it just puts you in a lot more risk. So we typically tell customers that we want them to purchase from a dealer for those reasons. Number one, you know that you're going to have a clear lien on that asset because it's going through a dealer sale. And number 2, you have the dealer to stand behind you.
That's really good information. Because we don't generally talk in those specifics because we do help people buy used machines, or at least connect them with people who are selling. And that's not to say there aren't good machines out there. There are. You know, none of us really know what's gone on with a used machine, though, if we had to all be perfectly honest about it. And we don't want you, especially if you're going to try to run a business, we don't want you to go through all of that and all that money, and then, you know, then you got a problem. So that was really good information.
Which is why MK Quilts does not resell used machines, but we do work with you. If you have one that you want to sell and upgrade with us, you know, we'll advertise it. We'll do things. We're even now throwing in a year of free tuition at the MK Quilts University for your customer who's buying your other machine. Now, we're not giving a warranty on any machine, but it helps make that person feel like that they have a retailer that is going to train them a little bit or make sure they get going on the new machine, and that helps the sale along. So we do that, but we are not giving out warranties just because past that 5 years of warranty on a machine, we don't know what situation or shape it's in. So
I think probably my final thoughts, just if I can, you know, go back to where I started with you, is my story. I bought the thing. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't know if I was going to have customers. I didn't know if I was going to be good at it. All I knew was I had a passion to do it. And here I am 12 years later. And I daily, I just feel so blessed that I do what I do, that I'm in the industry that I'm in. And in these current times, I just feel like I have been able to stay in business because of what I do. My heart goes out to people who didn't have any option but to close their doors. And we as quilters, we're doing something that we love. We're bringing beauty to the world. We're bringing happiness and joy through an art form. And if we can do that as even just as a part-time small business, regardless of what age we are, I just think I mean, how lucky are we? It's just a fun business to be in. I love it.
You don't think Melissa likes what she does, do you? So,
Well, and I said it before, I want to help you be successful. I want you to do good quality work. That's what will help your business succeed is you need to stand behind your product. Your product is your quilting. So you want to be very attentive to detail. You want to do your best quilting. You want to be able to offer a variety of services. And so I think what Paul and I have to offer is just going to help you be successful. I hope so anyways. I want to help you be successful.
well, and we aren't going anywhere. Thank you guys for your time. We've got about 20 people that are still hanging with us here. We do appreciate it. If you have any questions, talk to Carrie, talk to us. We won't be pounding you with sales calls here, but we wanted to let everybody know a little bit more here. This will go on the MK Quilts University site under our small business as well as out on YouTube here so that other people can find it. But I want to thank Carrie again. She's been excellent. I really think she brought benefit to the discussion here today. So thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
It's been fun. All right, we are going to call this. Everybody
From
have
our
a
home
wonderful
studio
evening.
to yours. Happy quilting.
Gotta get it in. Bye, all. See
Bye.
ya.
Bye.
All right, everyone, if you have enjoyed this instructional video, please click on the subscribe button below to make sure that you are notified of all of my future uploads. If you're serious about becoming a better computerized long arm quilting, then you're in the right place. Click also on our link to head on over to MK Quilts University, where you can join hundreds of other quilters who are learning by my instructional videos, live webinars, the Facebook group, and much, much more. All right, everybody, until next time, from my studio to yours, happy quilting. Bye-bye.